you three people started in a small room. वहाँ से now it's a 400 people company, right?
One message that I would give to the Gen Z: whatever work you get in the early years of your career, it will always teach you something for your
Yeah.
later life.
What would you want the fellow entrepreneurs or leaders to take away from your journey?
Couple of things which I may have already told also. One is that every challenge is an opportunity. So grab what opportunity you have at that moment and use that as a stepping stone to eventually reach where you want to reach.
आज की हमारी कहानी है रशीदा वाली जी की कहानी एंड रशीदा वाली जी इज सीनियर वाइस प्रेसिडेंट रिसोर्स एंड ऑपरेशंस एट नाइस सॉफ्टवेयर सॉल्यूशंस नागपुर. रशीदा जी, वेलकम टू द शो.
Hi Piyush, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
सो रशीदा जी, हमारे जो लिसनर्स हैं वो आपके बारे में जानना चाहते हैं. सो लेट्स स्टार्ट फ्रॉम द बिगिनिंग.
So my primary education was started in Dubai. I was brought up over there in my younger ages because my dad was working there. Later on, for higher secondary education and graduation, we moved to India. So my hometown is Ahmedabad. I'm basically from there. I did my engineering from one of the oldest institutes of engineering in India called LD College of Engineering. So I ended up into engineering and taking up computer science because that is what majority of the students were doing at that time. उस time पे एकदम से IT boom आया था in early 2000s, right? That is when I started my engineering. So because IT was so much in at that time, I think that was the natural choice that every student was making after right after 12th. So that is how I landed up into engineering. And then in the third year, when we had the placements, right, campus placements, I got into TCS. And that is how my journey in the IT world started. So that was the first job that I began. I was posted into Bombay. So I worked there for like 2 years and then I was deployed on a project on site to US. So I was over there for almost a year. And after that, my marriage was fixed, right? So like at that time, work from home ka culture nahi tha,
नहीं
right?
था.
In 2006, when I got married, nobody had heard of work from home, especially in India. I had to quit my work. When I moved here, both me and my husband, we tried to get into some kind of work for myself, right? So he also tried all the means that he could, and I also tried. I gave a few interviews, but जो टेक्नोलॉजी का एक्सपीरियंस मुझे था इन टीसीएस, नन ऑफ दी उस टाइम पे यू मस्ट बी नोइंग हार्डली एक या दो आईटी फर्म्स थे नागपुर में, राइट?
एग्जैक्टली, या.
And मेरा एक्सपीरियंस था इनटू मेन फ्रेम्स, IBM मेन फ्रेम्स टेक्नोलॉजी, राइट? सो नन ऑफ द फर्म्स वेर डूइंग एनी काइंड ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट्स इन दैट टेक्नोलॉजी. यहाँ पे वो टाइम पे सी प्लस प्लस, जावा, ये सारे प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेजेस ही ज्यादा चलते थे, राइट? सो मेरा एक्सपीरियंस was not of value at that time for the companies in Nagpur, right? So the only way for me was either I learn a new technology and then start my career afresh, or I move into a different profession altogether, right? So पहले I chose the first part. I tried to मैंने C++ का class join किया था. I tried to pick that up because college में पढ़ा हुआ था, so oops concept तो आता था. So I tried to do that, but वो इतना seriousness आया नहीं घर बैठ के, पढ़ने में and all. So then I just left that, and finally I got the opportunity of doing lectureship in Raisoni Women's College.
ओके.
And because it was in BTech only, right? So it was related to my field, my experience. तो तब मैंने सोचा कि चलो ठीक है, let us take it up. वैसे ही घर में बैठ के फ्रस्ट्रेशन हो रहा था. So finally when I got that opportunity, I just grabbed it. Although teaching has not been my cup of tea, right? But the family said कि why not give it a try, right? Maybe you may get good at it. You never
या.
know. So एक साल मैंने वो किया, and would so that I believe that everything happens for a reason in your life, right? And the reason I say this is because I was doing that lectureship ka job in Raisoni. That is the reason I ended up at Nice Software, right? Because my boss who is also a friend of ours, right? He's my husband's childhood friend. So we just happened to meet at an event, and he just asked me that, what do you do? So I told him that, I'm a lecturer at Raisoni. And he said that I'm starting up a firm in Nagpur, right? And it's going to be a technical training institute where we need people who are good in communication and strong in SQL. You will
Yeah.
understand the meaning of that. So he just wanted that much कि उतना technical होना चाहिए कि आप SQL आता हो, you can talk about that, and you should be good at communication, and one more thing, you should be ready to work in night shifts because US के customers को आपको training देना है
Okay.
remotely from India. So my boss was working in US, so with this firm called MicroStrategy. It is a business intelligence software. That is what today we specialize in, right? So at that time, we started as the training provider for all the customers of MicroStrategy. So we were their authorized training partners. We were delivering training for their customers worldwide, in India as well as abroad. And he was working with MicroStrategy as an employee back then. And in 2010, he planned to move back to Nagpur and become a partner for MicroStrategy. So he started the NICE at that time, and I was one of the first employees. So we were three people who joined at that time in a small room. श्री मोहिनी कॉम्प्लेक्स में हमारा first office था. एक छोटा सा table and चार chairs थी. That is how we had begun.
Great.
So
Yeah.
that is how my journey started again in the IT world. And because of that lecturership that I was doing, he found a trainer in me, and I took that up. So that was uh, a milestone for me, that a turning point in my career again. Okay, I was finally, doing what I really loved doing. That is how it began.
So quite an amazing story, Rashida ji. Like from uh, computer engineering, then TCS, going to US, coming back to Nagpur, a long break,
Mm,
marriage, then kid, then उसके बाद में फिर then basically a big switch from corporate to academia, and
mm,
then academia gave you opportunity going back to corporate, right?
correct.
So
Right.
uh, share us something like in between कुछ ऐसे moments आए होंगे which were like really hard moments, which
Mm,
were like basically ऐसे moments जहाँ पे आपको ऐसा लगता होगा कि ये क्यों करना है,
mm,
I should stop doing it,
exactly.
especially during the time of break, because when we take a big break from the career prospect and uh, उसके बाद रीस्टार्ट करना थोड़ा मुश्किल जाता है। तो उस
Mm.
एक्सपीरियंस के बारे में कुछ बताइए?
Yes. तो वो inertia आया था when I did this Raisoni thing also. I was not very confident because एक तो वो subjects से टच छूट गया था मेरा, राइट? माइक्रो प्रोसेसर और ये सारे थियोरी ऑफ कंप्यूटिंग, ये सारे सब्जेक्ट्स पढ़ाना था मुझे. So every day I would spend my time making notes, reading books and making notes. रात को जग के मैं notes prepare करती थी next day के लिए. और हर रात को जब मैं बैठती थी बुक खोल के कि कल ये पढ़ाना है, तो आई वुड से कि यार ये नहीं होगा मुझसे, आई थिंक आई हैव टू क्विट. बट देन द नेक्स्ट डे मॉर्निंग व्हेन आई वुड गो टू कॉलेज, एंड जब मैं अपने स्टूडेंट्स से उनका फीडबैक मिलता था, दे रियली यूज्ड टू एंजॉय the classes, and they used to have a good time. They gave good feedback to the principal, right? So every few days I would go to the principal and say कि ma'am, I don't think I can continue. मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा interest आ नहीं रहा है इसमें. And she would always say कि but if your students are happy, then that is the biggest feedback for you, right? Why do you want to quit? And do you have an alternative, right? अगर आपके पास दूसरा alternative है, तो you leave. But then जब तक नहीं है, तब तक why not continue, right? And if your students are if you are able to help in your free time to the kids, then what's the harm in continuing? So she was also a big motivation for me. Plus my mother-in-law, because she's also from education background, right? She was the dean of the home science department at Nagpur University, right? So she has always been into academic profession throughout. She was also an inspiration, right? She gave me the same advice that it's just a starting point for you, right? Eventually, you probably will land up into what you want to do, but why not use this as a starting point? So that is what kept me going during those times, because every single day I would feel that I'm not made to do this. Yeah. कहाँ मैं एक अच्छे से sophisticated IT ऑफिस में बैठ के डेवलपमेंट करती थी, प्रोजेक्ट्स करती थी, और कहाँ मैं यहाँ पे कॉलेज में जाके रोज क्लासरूम में लेक्चर दे रही हूँ. It was a total shift for me and a big shock, but like I said, it happened for a reason, and that is how I take it. I take that experience.
Great, great. And so, when your journey with Nice Software started, like you said, you three people started in a small room.
Hmm.
वहाँ से now it's a 400 people company, right? So उस
Correct.
जर्नी के बारे में बताइए. How was it? Like, how were the initial days in Nice? Growth के समय क्या challenges आए?
A lot of memories, I would say, in these 15 years. I just recently finished 15 years at NICE. So, yes, a very big learning for me, from 4 to 400, the way we have moved, right? Like I said, पहले तो एक छोटी सी office में थे. Again, it was learning every day. We had to read the books, prepare our notes, because अगले दिन ट्रेनिंग देना था. तो उसमें बहुत सारे challenges आए. सबसे पहला challenge मेरे लिए तब आया when I realized कि हाँ तो बोल दिया है मैंने night shift करने को, right, but it is not going to be easy,
Yeah,
especially because I have a son who goes to school.
yeah,
तो
yeah,
रात भर ट्रेनिंग डिलीवर करने के बाद आपको हार्डली 2 घंटे मिलते हैं सोने के लिए, एंड देन यू हैव टू वेक अप अगेन इन द मॉर्निंग, because you have to send your son to school, and I cannot obviously get rid of that, right? That's my family, and I have to take care of it also. So दिन भर I would be preparing for my training, जो शाम में start होती है, right? It would start at 7 in the evening, and it would go up to 3 and 4 in the morning, right? Uske baad then waking up at 6 again in the morning for sending my son to school, and then फिर बीच में एक आध घंटा कभी मिलता है सोने के लिए. So your sleep cycle is disrupted, your food habits are disrupted, you get irritated at people, right, with the family, because you're not able to sleep, you're not able to focus. So किया मैंने वो for 6 months, but then when it started taking a toll on my life, on my family life, I would take out the irritation on my son, my husband. So then I felt कि यार I don't think कर पाऊंगी मैं ये. आई मीन मैंने ट्राई किया, बिकॉज इट वाज अ स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट. आई डिड नॉट वांट टू मिस आउट ऑन दैट अपॉर्चुनिटी. लाइक आई सेड, नागपुर में बहुत ज्यादा ऑप्शंस, राइट? दिस वाज द ओनली ऑप्शन दैट आई गॉट, सो आई जस्ट said yes to it, and घर वालों ने भी support किया था, which is why I had started. But then they could also see, and I also realized that I will not be able to sustain this for a long time. चलो कुछ महीने कर लिया मैंने, but then one fine day I went to my boss and said कि मैं नहीं कर पाऊंगी ये. So मेरे इस growth में my boss has also played a very big role, because at every point when I felt that I was not in the right role, because of the family life also that I had to look after, he always had an alternative for me. So when I went up and told him कि मैं night shift नहीं कर सकती, he said ठीक है मत करो, I have another role for you. You can take up trainings in India, जो इंडिया के टाइम में रहेगी, राइट? उसमें आपको वंस इन अ वाइल कभी ट्रैवल करना पड़ेगा. अदर देन दैट यू कैन जस्ट कम टू ऑफिस इन द डे टाइम एंड टेक ट्रेनिंग्स फॉर इंडियन कस्टमर्स. ये पॉसिबल इसलिए हुआ बिकॉज नाइस भी उस हिसाब से ग्रो होते जा रहा था जिस हिसाब से मेरी लाइफ प्रोग्रेस हो रही थी, राइट? सो वी स्टार्टेड विथ ट्रेनिंग यूएस कस्टमर्स, एंड ग्रेजुअली वी स्टार्टेड गेटिंग कस्टमर्स इन इंडिया. तो हमको इंडिया में भी ट्रेनिंग अपॉर्चुनिटीज मिलना स्टार्ट हो गई थी तब तक, which is why I was able to move into that role and start taking trainings with Indian time zone. So that started, right? फिर वो चला थोड़े टाइम तक. बीच बीच में I had to travel. Now again travel became, शुरू में तो I enjoyed, मजा आया. My family used to take care of my son when I was traveling, but धीरे धीरे करके फिर that also started becoming a challenge कि इतना frequent travel was difficult, right? Along with managing my son, वो भी difficult हो रहा था. Again I went to my boss and said कि मुझसे ये भी नहीं हो पाएगा, so then again he gave me the next opportunity. He said ठीक है, you can move into content writing, because by then नाइस को वो वर्क भी स्टार्ट हो गया था मिलना, right? So with MicroStrategy only, earlier we were just providing training to them. Now we had become a content provider also for them. So जो topics की trainings हम deliver करते थे in MicroStrategy, हम उसी के contents और course को update करते थे. So I took charge of that course upgradation module, and I went into that department. जैसे जैसे मेरे personal life में challenges आ रहे थे, struggles आ रहे थे, and every time I would think of quitting, God gave me a second opportunity कि ठीक है ये नहीं हो रहा है, you can do this. So everything started falling into place, and both my professional life and personal life was almost being in sync. तो वो जो शुरू का chaos था, धीरे धीरे clarity अब आने लग गई थी, right? But the clarity was not a one time thing. It was a complete journey, a transition which took like 15 years to finally come to peace. तो वो challenge आया, and that is when I moved into content writing. Of content writing, I started, I had a team of people, right? There were like almost 10 to 15 people working with me in content writing. Earlier, I was writing it myself. Then I started heading and managing the team of writers. So that मेरे responsibilities धीरे धीरे I was able to delegate to my team, right? So I went up into that role where I was playing a techno-functional role. Then again, there were challenges in that role also. The challenge was that I had to take evening calls with customers. I had deadlines, right? Like you are aware of, हर IT project में
Yeah,
deadlines रहती ही है, right? Whether it is a development project or a content writing, right? You have to meet the timelines. You have to take the pressure, everything. And during those days, I had we had our second child, right? Our daughter was born. So again, I had a break,
break.
but this time I did not, prolong my maternity break, because by that time work from home ka culture आ गया था, right? So my boss had given me the flexibility to continue working from home. And because I was doing content writing independently, there wasn't much need of me coming to office every day. Right. So I took a 3 months ka break. Then I started working from home. And I was also very determined this time कि मुझे फिर से बहुत लंबा break नहीं लेना है. Right. I want to make sure that I stay connected and in touch with my work. Otherwise, मुझे वापस जाने में problem हो जाएगी. Right. So that again fell into place, because जो मेरा role था, it supported me to work from home at that time. So I resumed the content writing. उसमें again, like I said, deadlines रहती थी, pressure रहता था, projects को time पे submit करने का, with a small baby, उसमें भी challenges आ रहे थे. So then, again, I would get frustrated and I would talk to my husband कि क्या करूँ, छोड़ दूँ क्या, नहीं हो रहा है मेरे से manage with 2 kids, it's difficult.
Yeah.
So every time I would get into this frustration, I would ask him this question कि what should I do? Should I quit? He would give me only one answer. He would say कि वो दिन का frustration याद करो जब तुम्हारे पास job नहीं था, right? Is that frustration better than this frustration? वो सोचो and then decide.
Okay, that's like
Yeah.
showing a mirror, right?
Yes. So he would say कि तुम्हें वो स्टेज में वापस जाना है क्या, where you don't have any work and you are just sitting idle at home, या ये स्टेज, ये फ्रस्ट्रेशन बेटर है कि बहुत ज्यादा काम है कि मैनेज नहीं कर पा रहे हो, राइट? सो बिना काम का फ्रस्ट्रेशन इज व्हाट यू वांट, या ज्यादा काम का फ्रस्ट्रेशन इज व्हाट यू वांट, यू डिसाइड. So ये जवाब when he used to give me, that was what kept me going. कि फिर मैं वो याद करती थी कि नहीं, I don't want to go back in that time. I want my identity. I don't want to just be a mother, a wife, and a daughter-in-law, right? I want to be something else for myself, right? I need to have an identity of my own. और वो तभी होगा जब मैं ये struggle कम करूंगी, and I have to make it work.
So
So
few
that
things
is what kept me going.
okay, great. Few things I really, I mean, I'm amazed with, like, first of all is kudos to your boss and the company who were always there to listen to you, understand what you're going through, and give you that, other opportunity to
Right.
have a good work and life balance. ऐसा अमूमन कम होता है, लेकिन
Hmm.
बहुत ये एक बहुत अच्छा पॉइंट है. दिस इज अ वेरी गुड initiative that a
Hmm.
company takes towards their
Correct.
employees. Other stuff is your husband who always kept on pushing you, because you need someone in your life who can, who is there during those hard days. So
Absolutely.
kudos to him also. And
Yes.
a couple of moments before you were talking about delegation, right? So
हाँ.
delegation एक ऐसा art है जो हर leader या entrepreneur को सीखना ही होता है, क्योंकि at the
Correct.
end of the day आप सब कुछ खुद नहीं कर सकते हो. सो यू हैव टू
Correct.
लर्न हाउ टू डेलीगेट. अब इसमें
Right.
आपको क्या चैलेंजेस गए?
So yeah, so like I said, where जब content writing में I started building a team and started delegating. एक चैलेंज जो उस टाइम पे आया था, विच इज वन मैसेज दैट आई वुड वांट टू गिव टू द जेन जी, जो आज के भी जेन जी है, राइट, उनके लिए ये मैसेज इज समथिंग दैट आई वुड वांट टू यूज दिस प्लेटफॉर्म फॉर, एंड वो ये है कि वट एवर वर्क यू गेट इन द अर्ली years of your career, it will always teach you something for your
Yeah,
later life. Content writing था, we used to hire freshers. इंजीनियरिंग करके जो बच्चे आते थे, वो ये माइंडसेट से आते थे कि अच्छा प्रोग्रामिंग करने प्रोग्राम्स करने मिलेंगे, डेवलपमेंट का वर्क होगा, दैट वाज देयर एक्सपेक्टेशन। जब वो आप उनको बोलते थे कि यू हैव टू डू कंटेंट राइटिंग, तो दे वुड ऑल स्टार्ट ऑब्जेक्टिंग, नहीं हमको ये काम नहीं करना है, इसमें कुछ मजा नहीं आ रहा है, इसमें मतलब ये तो आई हैड नॉट थॉट ऑफ डूइंग दिस काइंड ऑफ वर्क,
yeah,
बाकी आईटी कंपनीज में तो ऐसे ऐसे रहता है, हमें भी इस टाइप का प्रोजेक्ट चाहिए, डेवलपमेंट वर्क चाहिए, वी डोंट वांट टू डू कंटेंट राइटिंग। तो उनको बहुत मुझे टाइम लगता था टू प्रिपेयर देम, मेंटली प्रिपेयर देम, टू शो देम द एडवांटेजेस कि क्यों ये इंपॉर्टेंट है, राइट, एंड आई वुड टेल देम दैट दिस इज नॉट परमानेंट, आप ये मत समझो कि अभी कंटेंट राइटिंग करवा रहे हैं हमसे तो हमेशा यही करवाएंगे, नो, इट्स जस्ट a stepping stone for you, right? Take it as a learning, धीरे धीरे आप ग्रो करोगे, एंड वैसा ही होता था, राइट। सो इट वाज लाइक अ स्मॉल यूनिवर्सिटी दैट आई वाज रनिंग विद इन नाइस, जहाँ सारे फ्रेशर्स आके दे वुड वर्क विथ मी ऑन कंटेंट राइटिंग, and then eventually they would, as their experience would build up, they would move into the development projects, the consulting projects. By that time, nice had also started doing consulting. Earlier we had started only as training providers and content writers, we moved into consulting also, बट कंसल्टिंग में जैसे आपको पता है कि फ्रेशर्स को उतनी जल्दी अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं मिलती है,
नहीं
राइट, यू
मिलती
नीड
है।
टू बिल्ड अप योर एक्सपीरियंस,
Yeah,
दैट इज व्हाट आई वाज हेल्पिंग दीज पीपल बिल्ड अप थ्रू द कंटेंट राइटिंग, राइट। एंड ऑल ऑफ दीज पीपल हु वर्कड विथ मी इन माय टीम, जिनको मैंने डेलीगेट करके सिखाया कि ये करना है आपको, व्हेन दे मूव्ड ऑन इन देयर करियर्स विथ नाइस और इवन आफ्टर नाइस, राइट, एवरी टाइम दैट दे मीट मी, दे टेल मी वन थिंग कि मैम उस टाइम पे हमको लगता था कि हम ये क्या कर रहे हैं, बट टुडे वी थैंक यू फॉर पुशिंग अस टू डू कंटेंट राइटिंग, बिकॉज कंटेंट राइटिंग करने में जो आप रिसर्च करते हो ऑन दैट सब्जेक्ट, वो रिसर्च वर्क बहुत काम आता है लेटर ऑन, एंड एवरी सिंगल पर्सन विथ whom I worked at that time, everyone has told me this, right, कि हमको बहुत काम आया जो रिसर्च हमने उस टाइम पे किया था, बिकॉज व्हेन यू हैव टू राइट अबाउट समथिंग ऑब्वियसली यू हैव टू रिसर्च अबाउट इट,
research about it. Yeah,
राइट। सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल जो माइक्रोसार्जी टूल था, राइट, इफ आई हैव टू राइट अबाउट दैट टूल आई वुड रीड एवरीथिंग अबाउट इट। इन योर डेवलपमेंट प्रोजेक्ट आपको हर प्रोजेक्ट में हर तरह का चीज एक्सप्लोर करने नहीं मिलती है, राइट, एवरी प्रोजेक्ट कम्स विद अ different domain, a different background, a different environment. So in every project, some learning that they had done during their content writing time, कि हाँ मैंने जब वो कोर्स डेवलप किया था उसमें मैंने ये चीज पढ़ा था, एंड दे वर एबल टू इम्प्लीमेंट दैट लर्निंग लेटर ऑन इन देयर प्रोजेक्ट्स। सो दैट इज माय मैसेज कि जब जो भी आप कर रहे हो उसको छोटा मत समझो कि ये क्या काम कर रहे हैं, राइट, at some point of your career it will definitely help you, and you will thank yourself for doing it at that time. So that was the learning for me, and that is what I taught my team also, that be open to take up whatever opportunity comes your way, and don't the other message that I had to teach my team at that point was, don't run after money, right, especially in the early years of your career, you know run after becoming so good at your work कि money runs after you, राइट, वैसा बनो, तो उस पे फोकस करो, बिकॉज सीटीसी पैकेज डिस्कशंस पहले ही मंथ से स्टार्ट हो जाते हैं आजकल बच्चों के, दैट इज व्हाट एंटाइसेस देम, बट दे फॉरगेट कि ये जॉब हॉपिंग करने में जो छूट रहा है उनसे, दैट इज द एक्चुअल एक्सपीरियंस,
yeah,
जो अगर वो उस टाइम पे बिल्ड अप नहीं करते हैं, देन उनके करियर के 10 साल बाद दे बिकम स्टैग्नेंट, बिकॉज उन्होंने अपने अर्ली ईयर्स में वो टाइम स्पेंड ही नहीं किया on learning. They were just running after money, and they were just hopping from one job to another, right, which is why they never spent proper constructive time in learning. And that is what today I we teach at nice, right, that give as much time as you can to learning, and there is no age bar for learning, right, even if you are the CEO, you still need to learn.
it's a very beautiful insight that basically एक तो initial days in the career you should grab as much experience as you can, as much knowledge and research part as you can, because that is going to help you grow as a better professional. And
Right.
second thing is being persistent in doing things rather than running for job switches every year, which
Hmm.
generally young people do because they see money as a big opportunity
Correct.
rather than learning and knowledge. So that's a very
Correct.
beautiful insight, Rashida ji. Moving on, आपने अभी बात की टीम के बारे में. सो हाउ इज योर रिलेशनशिप विथ योर टीम? कभी कभी तो कुछ कुछ अच्छे कुछ बुरे एक्सपीरियंसेस तो हुए होंगे. उनके बारे में
Yes.
बताइए.
So I have been fortunate to always have a team who has been open to learning, right? Because we have a very open culture at NICE. Although we have a hierarchy, but we always encourage our people to be open. We have always tried to be as approachable as possible, right? When I was in content writing, uske baad I became education manager at NICE, right? So I was looking after the operations of the education more than the technical part, right? So I gradually moved on from that because I had a team of technical people now to take care of the technical work, the writing part, right? So I was looking into operations, and that is how I entered into operations थ्रू एजुकेशन. फिर वो एजुकेशन का operations से धीरे धीरे I diversified into looking after overall operations, which included the consulting arm, the training arm, and the curriculum development arm, right? So I was looking after the operations of all three verticals at NICE. And as and how we expanded, that work started expanding, I kept asking for more and more people in the team, right? Because we had that much of work. Because I was not just responsible for the three or four people who were a part of my operations team, right? I was responsible for the entire strength of NICE. At that time, when I entered into operations, we were around 150 or so. And today, when we are 400, right? So if you ask me कि आपकी team size क्या है, I will say 400. बिकॉज ये पूरी ही मेरी टीम है राइट आई एम रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर द डेवलपमेंट एंड ग्रोथ ऑफ एवरी इंडिविजुअल एट नाइस सो दैट इज द फुल टीम एंड आई हैव टू लुक आफ्टर all of their individual growth as well as their professional growth at nice so delegation जैसे आपने कहा that is one thing which helped me diversify and take up more on my plate, right? Because I was able to create. I would like to, repeat a sentence which our boss has already always told us, right? जितने भी leaders रहे हैं NICE में, उन सबको he always questioned us, who is the next you in your team, right? He would always question us कि अगर आप next रशीदा नहीं create करोगे, तो आप ऊपर कैसे जाओगे? right? So always make sure that there is one person in your team who can take up work from your plate. Because unless you don't pass on work to them, you will not grow. आप अपनी growth भी hamper कर रहे हो और आप उनकी growth को भी hamper करोगे, right? So that is one thing which we always lived with at NICE. I always make sure that there is somebody in the team who can take up whenever I want to, shed off something from my plate and delegate to them. I have been fortunate to have those kind of leaders in my team. Whether it was in the RMG group, which is operations. Until 2 years back, I was heading the RMG department. 2 years back, I also expanded and took up HR operations, talent acquisition, learning and development, right? We diversified, and all of this also now falls onto my plate. But it is only possible for me to manage all of this because I have a good team and I have a good leadership working in all of these departments for me. So it is very important to have good leaders, create good leaders in your team, right? अगर आप if you are not able to lose control and pass on work or delegate work to others, like I said, you will not only hamper their growth, but you will hamper your growth also.
That's great insight that if you really are a leader, you will basically bound to make more leaders around you, right? So that everybody grows step by
Right,
step.
right.
So, Rashida ji, managing 400 people, right? Then a role of a mother, a wife, uh, a daughter-in-law, everything is pulling you, and there's
Hmm.
only one Rashida ji. How do you
Right.
manage all this?
So, जैसे हर वर्किंग वुमेन के होते हैं challenges, right? वो सारे challenges मेरे भी थे. But you need to have a, first of all, you need to have a strong support system. Uh, in your family, your relatives, and your friends, right? You need to have a strong support system जो आपको हमेशा encourage करेंगे आगे बढ़ने के लिए, right? I've always had that support at home with my family, always able to, you know, help me balance my work and family both. They know कि मेरी capabilities क्या है, मतलब घर को लेके भी and work को लेके भी, right? So everybody has adjusted to that. Support system तो अपनी जगह है and that is important, but उसके अलावा आपका confidence भी उतना ही important है, right? So because ऐसे बहुत सारे weak moments जैसे मैंने बताया आते ही है जब आपको लगता है कि नहीं manage होगा. How
Yeah.
will I manage both? And I will always miss out on something. कि मैंने ये मिस कर दिया या वो मिस कर दिया, ये बराबर नहीं हुआ, वो नहीं हुआ. तो what I have learned in my journey is it's okay to not be perfect, right? Don't strive to be a perfect mother, a perfect employee, a perfect wife, and a perfect daughter-in-law. Because अगर आपको multiple roles करना है, तो you cannot be perfect with everything. You have to make a choice at every stage. Every single day you have to make a choice. किसी दिन आपको अपने बच्चे का पीटीएम मिस करना पड़ता है because you have a client visiting your office. किसी दिन आपको कोई important office की meeting मिस करना पड़ता है because your child needs your care or the child is unwell. So at every single day you have to make a choice, right? And it's okay to make that choice. It's okay to not be perfect and do not regret कि मैं ये नहीं कर पाई या वो नहीं कर पाई, राइट? दैट इज द ओनली थिंग दैट विल हेल्प यू बैलेंस आउट. बिकॉज अगर आप वो गिल्ट के साथ रहते हो कि मैं अपने काम पे उतना फोकस नहीं कर पा रही हूँ बिकॉज आई हैव रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज एट होम, या अगर आप सोचते हो कि मैंने अपने बच्चों का ज्यादा टाइम नहीं दिया उनको बिकॉज मैं काम कर रही हूँ, तो आप किसी भी चीज को जस्टिस नहीं दे पाते हो, right? So you have to have that acceptance, which is something that I would like to change about myself, right? If I go back a few years and think ki, what would I want to change in me as a person, right? I don't want to change any circumstance because I don't regret, because every circumstance has been a learning for me, like I said, right? But in myself as a person, if I would have wanted to change something a few years down the line, it would have been being assertive about what you want to do, right? And मेकिंग इट वर्क रादर देन थिंकिंग कि ये करने से ये कॉम्प्रोमाइज हो जाएगा, या अगर मैंने आज 1 घंटा ज्यादा काम कर लिया तो यू नो हु विल टेक केयर ऑफ माय वर्क एट होम, या अगर मैं आज ऑफिस नहीं गई, घर पे रह गई तो कैसे होगा, राइट? ये सब जब हम इतना रिग्रेट करते हैं और गिल्ट में रहते हैं, दैट इज व्हेन यू आर इट्स जस्ट हार्मिंग यू, राइट? इट्स नॉट दैट anybody else gets impacted, but just be assertive about what you want to do and everything else will automatically fall into place. That was the clarity which I finally got कि आपको क्या करना है बस सोच लो, एंड सब लोग, योर सिस्टम, योर एनवायरमेंट ऑटोमेटिकली आपको सपोर्ट करना चालू कर देते हैं, राइट?
और रशीदा जी, आप लॉ ऑफ अट्रैक्शन में बिलीव करते हो?
यस, आई डू.
एनी एनी
एंड
इंस्टेंस जहाँ आपको इसका कोई एक छोटा-सा इंस्टेंस हो जहाँ पे लॉ ऑफ अट्रैक्शन हैज़ हेल्प्ड यू?
so, at work only, if I would say, right, I have been good with handling people, right? I would say that. So I have had good team members always, and I have shared a very good bonding with all the employees and colleagues that I have worked with at NICE. So, like I said, HR operations, talent acquisition. Fortunately, all of that, you know, fell in my umbrella because I think I attracted it. क्योंकि मुझे उस चीज में इंटरेस्ट था, एंड आई वाज ऑलरेडी कंट्रीब्यूटिंग टू दैट रोल इवन व्हेन आई वाज नॉट formally a part of it, right? So when my boss saw that contribution, that is when he asked me to take up that role, and he said, you know, this is the opportunity for you to scale up. And because we plan to scale up at NICE also, right? We plan to double our strength in the next 2 years. That is the vision that we have had in 2024, right? We want to go fast and we want to scale up and multiply ourselves, right? So he said कि या तो आप लो ये opportunity, because if you don't, then we will have to bring somebody, right? But I wouldn't want to bring somebody. I would want that you take it up because I know that you have that capability in you, right? And fortunately, us time pe at home also, my kids were grown up. They had become independent, both of them, right? So they did not require too much of my involvement as such, right? So I was in a position to give more time to work, and so I decided ki, theek hai, if this is what is going to come to me, let me take it. That is when I expanded and I started growing.
Okay, great. And Rashida ji, we also know that you are an amazing singer and music has an important role in your life. उसके बारे में बताइए.
Yes, so yes, it's a childhood hobby that I couldn't pursue much, but whenever I get an opportunity, whether it is in school shows या college में जो cultural festivals होते थे उसमें, even at NICE when we have our annual event, synchronized that we call, and in family gatherings, right? जब जब जहाँ जहाँ मौका मिलता है, I take up the mic and get started. So that is one of my goals for 2025, that I want to pursue my hobby and give more time and attention now that I have, time for it.
So
That is
रशीदा
there.
जी, इफ यू डोंट माइंड हमारे लिसनर्स के लिए कोई 2 लाइन आपके फेवरेट सॉन्ग की अगर आप सुना दें?
um, okay. So this is, I think, a very old time favorite जो मैंने काफी जगहों पे किया है. आपने भी सुना होगा. Hmm, जब कोई बात बिगड़ जाए, जब कोई मुश्किल पड़ जाए, तुम देना साथ मेरा, ओ हमनवा. न कोई है, न कोई था जिंदगी में तुम्हारे सिवा, तुम देना साथ मेरा, ओ हमनवा. So,
Wow, wow. That was amazing. That was
thank you.
amazing.
Thank
So
you.
we would really love to see you singing more, ma'am. And I
Thank you.
just wish कि आप ये हॉबी को और सीरियसली परस्यू करें. फाइनली रशीदा जी, आप अपनी जर्नी से what would you want the fellow entrepreneurs or leaders to take away from your journey?
Couple of things which I may have already told also. One is that every challenge is an opportunity in itself, right? तो कभी कभी हमें लगता है कि नहीं, आई डोंट थिंक आई एम रेडी फॉर दिस, या आई एम नॉट मेड टू डू दिस, देर आर, आई एम मेड फॉर बेटर थिंग्स इन लाइफ. बट उस वक्त अगर हम बहुत ज्यादा सोच में पड़ जाते हैं, या इफ यू डिले योर डिसीजन, you miss on the opportunity, and then you start regretting. So grab what opportunity you have at that moment and use that as a stepping stone to eventually reach where you want to reach. Right? It's not कि overnight आपको success मिल जाएगा, या overnight आपको आपका dream job मिल जाएगा. Right? You have to work towards it. So, like I said, the journey from chaos to clarity is not achieved overnight, right? It's a transition. It's a period of transition. For कुछ कुछ लोगों के लिए वो transition could be for a few weeks. For some people, it could be a few months. For some people, it could be several years also, right? But you have to have that faith in the universe that आपके साथ जो भी हो रहा है, right? There is a reason to it, and you will eventually land up where you were made to be or where you wanted to be. So that is the message, if especially for women, right? Because बहुत challenges, बहुत hurdles आते हैं. But like I said, be determined and don't try to be perfect. I think that is all you need to manage the show.
Like they say, perfection is a trap. Success is always shabby.
Absolutely. That is
Great,
that is true.
great, great. And Rashida ji, you have had a journey from chaos to clarity, right? So how would you define clarity today?
Clarity is basically knowing where you're going, where you're heading, and enjoying the journey, right? If you're not enjoying the journey, and if you're always wondering, ki, is this happening correct? then that is not clarity, right? अगर आपको पता है कि yes this is I'm liking the experience basically, right? जो भी experience हो रहा है, just keep enjoying and just go with the flow, but at the same time be clear in your head कि हाँ मुझे वहाँ I have to reach, right? But उतना focused मत रहो in the end point that you forget to enjoy the journey, right? जो भी experiences आपके साथ हो रहे हैं, every experience is a learning and just enjoy it rather than worrying too much about कि where will I land up tomorrow.
श्योर, कल की चिंता करना बंद करो और लाइफ जीना शुरू करो।
Correct.
राइट।
That is what clarity is for me. And like I said, being assertive about what you want, having your goals, right? So last 2 साल से I have got into this habit of noting down my goals for the year in the first month of the year.
ओके।
जैसे कि इस लास्ट ईयर का मेरा गोल था टू ट्रैवल मोर ऑफन, मेक मोर फ्रेंड्स, because kahin na kahin between my work and family I had compromised on my friends, right? I did not give them so much of time that I should have given or I could have given. So one of my personal goal was to have more friends and to have a network of people, right? To have a social circle, to have a professional circle, right? Both of them. Because when you are in a network, you learn from every individual, right? Whether he's a in a social circle, he's a personal friend, or it's a professional acquaintance. Every person gives you some learning or the other. So to some extent, I was able to achieve that goal last year. And my goal this year was to pursue some leadership course, right? Because, like I said, at NICE, we are planning to scale up our services. We have recently expanded into Dubai. We already had our presence over there, but we started a new office. And our services are expanding worldwide. If I want to own a company, a group of people from 400 to 1,000 in the next 2 years, then I also need to be prepared for that, right?
या।
So that was my goal, to pursue some executive course, and I joined the IIM Nagpur's Global Senior Education Executive Leadership Program, which is a virtual program, right? And I look forward to learning from that. It's not just learning through the lectures in the class, but it's learning through your fellow colleagues who are also a part of the course. You learn from their experiences also, right? So I'm looking forward to that also. So that is one of the goals I had for this year, which I've started already.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Rashida ji, for joining us today. You have had an amazing journey, and I'm sure our listeners will learn a lot of things, especially the working women, and it will inspire a lot of people.
Thank you so much, Piyush. I really had a good time in this conversation, and I really hope that this message will help at least the Gen Z, to have clarity early on in their lives.
So, this was today's story, and I hope you had enjoyed the story. मैं आपसे मिलता हूँ अगले हफ्ते एक और ऐसी इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरी के साथ।